case anybody has any doubt from what we've done in the previous class, any questions? Did you all go through what we did last class? Can everybody hear me? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Okay. So let's start today's class. So last class we spoke about the approval route and the government route. We also saw, let me quickly, what type of investee entities and what type of entities you can invest in, who can invest in, and some of the conditions. We also saw the routes of investment, foreign investment, approval route, automatic route, and we also saw the downstream investment and the some sectorial caps also. So now, also we saw last class what type of instruments that you can invest in. So today we are going to start about the provisions relating to issue and transfer of shares. Okay, so now, so these are provisions. You might find the exact same sentences in your textbook also, because these are kind of provisions which I cannot make it too small and put it in the slide. So you might find similar sentences even in the textbook also. So now, provisions relating to issue and transfer of shares. Now, in case if a company issues shares, what are the provisions relating to when you want to issue equity shares or debentures, and what happens when you decide to transfer? Now, provisions is what kind of when you have to issue shares, what are the pricing that you can issue shares from, all that is what we're going to see. Now the capital instruments should be issued within. Now capital instruments we saw is nothing but equity, debentures, bonds, all of that are capital instruments. Now the capital instrument should be issued within 60 days from the receipt of the inward remittance. Now what is inward remittance? Is when the amount comes into the country, into the bank account of the company. That's called inward remittance. So as soon as the amount reaches the company's bank account, it's called inward remittance. Now, once the money comes in, you have various documentations like FIRC, all that comes. We'll all look into that a little bit later on. But once the money touches the bank account of the company, that's when the money has come into. Once the amount has come into through normal banking channels. Now what are normal banking channels? Is nothing but through the authorized dealer, like through HSBC or a HDFC bank, who's authorized to do such transactions. The money should enter the country from that bank account. Now, if within 60 days you need to issue the shares. Now, the process of issuing shares, all of that you will see in Companies Act. It is not given much in details in FDI, but you should only know that within 60 days you need to issue the shares. And if you do not issue shares, you will have to refund the amount within 15 days from the date of completion of 60 days. So if you have not issued shares within 60 days, you need to refund the amount within 15 days back to the same account from where you have received it. Now, there are instances where you will also receive excess. So if the share price is 100 rupees, you would have received, one second. If the share price is 100 rupees, you would have received, say 90 rupees and 10 rupees is extra. Now, what do you think the company should do if they've received extra 10 rupees?
Premium.
No, with the premium also they would have received extra. So with the premium they've received 90. And they've received they've received 100 rupees. But the 90 rupees. So the extra 10 rupees, what do you think the company will do?
It will transfer it back to the person who has purchased it.
Yes, it will refund the excess. So any excess amount also should be refunded to the person who's sent the amount. So even if you've received 1 rupee extra, you will have to return it back to the shareholder. And it will be in the same method, how from whichever account you have received the amount, you will have to transfer the amount back to the same account. Now, issue price of shares. Now, what is issue price of shares is, if the Indian company is issuing shares, equity shares to any person outside India, they will look at first if it's a listed company or if it's a non-listed company. So if it's a listed company, the price will be as applicable as per the SEBI guidelines. Now, SEBI guidelines, they have not given the details, so don't get into the details, because you will study this in detail in when you are reading say Companies Act or the listing requirements. So here they do not talk about what the SEBI guidelines says. So just remember, as per the SEBI guidelines, shares are issued if you are a listed company. Now, listed means if you are listed on any stock exchange. Now, what happens if you are an unlisted company? You will have to calculate the fair valuation of shares. Now, who does a share valuation? It's nobody but a SEBI registered merchant banker or a chartered accountant. Now, here also you have a terminology called IBBI. As per the Companies Act, you need to be registered as a IBBI registered valuer. So that's as per the Companies Act. As per the SEBI regulations, you will have to get it valued. You will have to get your share valuation done by a SEBI registered merchant banker. Now, whatever valuation is done, it's done based on 2-3 methods. So details, don't go into the details. So so the fair valuation of shares done by a SEBI merchant banker or a chartered accountant as per the pricing methodology. So that's what you have to remember. Now, so that's for listed companies and unlisted companies. Now, you will also have to keep a check on the RBI pricing guidelines also from time to time. RBI will keep updating the requirements. Say if it's a preferential allotment, if it's a rights allotment, every type of issue has got a different set of valuation. So you will have to check every time whether it's a preferential issue or an equity rights issue. Based on whatever requirements are there that the company is having, however the company is issuing, based on that you will have to look at the guidelines issued by SEBI, RBI, all of that, and then issue the price. Now, as per Companies Act also, the pricing guidelines are different. So you will also have to look at the Companies Act pricing guidelines, and accordingly you will have to kind of issue the share price at a value accepted to all internationally. Any doubts? Anybody's got any doubt? Yes, no.
No, ma'am.
What if the extra amount is refunded to the shareholder?
The extra amount will have to be refunded back to the shareholder. What's exactly
In case if the company is not refunded, what will the
So if you look at the penalty section and all that, there'll be a specific fine that the company will have to pay. You will have to pay the amount plus interest on that amount. You'll have to pay it back to the shareholder. All those complications will arise if you do not refund at the back to the shareholder. There is some interest percentage, all of that has to be paid to the shareholder. If you do not, if you for each day you will have to pay an interest component also. Okay. Now that was regarding to how do you issue shares to Okay, someone still joined. 1 second. Mr. A living abroad, he wants to transfer the shares of the Indian company by the way of gift to anybody. He can do it. That is allowed. Now, government approval is not required for transfer of shares in the investee company from one non-resident to another under automatic route. So basically, if it is an approval route, you will require approval. But if it's an automatic route, you do not require approval from the government. Now, NRIs may transfer by way of sale or gift, or the share of convertible debentures to another NRI. So again, we saw a person resident outside India other than an NRI. NRIs also can sell or gift shares to another NRI. Now, a person resident outside India can transfer any security to a person resident in India by way of gift. Now, an outside person also can give to somebody in India also. So that is also possible. A person resident outside India can sell shares of an Indian company on the stock exchange through a stockbroker and through a stockbroker registered with stock exchange or a merchant banker registered with SEBI. So if you want to sell your shares in a stock exchange also, you can't directly sell your shares on a stock exchange. You will have to do it through a registered broker or a merchant banker. That's how you can transfer shares from one person to another person. Next, person resident in India can transfer shares of an Indian company under private arrangement. What do you all know with the terminology called private arrangement? What do you all know? What is private arrangement? What is private arrangement? Anybody?
It is approved by the RBI and the SEBI.
No. Some private arrangement. With the term private arrangement, what do you all think it can be? Through an agreement. Through an agreement, yes. And if not through an agreement, can they still do a private arrangement? Like a private placement. Private placement is different.
Oh, digital signing.
Digital signing, not that complicated. Something simple. Private arrangement.
The agreement may be written or it can be oral.
Publication in the gazettes.
No, not to that complicated. As Vaishnavi said, yes, it can be oral as it can be in a written form. So now what happens is, mainly in say companies, say in a private company, where you have 50 non-promote. Okay, out of 50 shareholders, you have 45 shareholders who are Indian residents and 5 are promoters. Now what happens is, when especially in a private company where the promoters want to have a monopoly on the entire shareholding of usually private companies, the promoters would want to have a monopoly. So what happens then? Say if the promoters decide tomorrow, the promoters decide that they want to have 80%. They want that 50 shareholder also to reduce to 30 shareholders. Then what they do usually is they kind of speak to every shareholder. They kind of tell them that, see, can I buy your, can I purchase your shares? I will give you this particular rate and this particular price is trending. Can you please sell your shares? We will give it to you. They kind of discuss. They kind of have a private arrangement. Now, some companies will not have it in writing because it's supposed to be out of the. It's not a very nice way of kind of getting someone to sell your shares. So they kind of have they kind of talk. Say if it's a very weekly family run company, they try to speak to their, because the other shareholders might be mostly relatives, friends. They kind of talk saying that we will give you a little extra, we give you this much is the calculation. Can you please sell the shares to us? We would want to buy it. We want to expand it. They kind of explain everything. They have a private arrangement outside what is there in the Companies Act, all of that, and they kind of sell their shares or they transfer their shares. It's mostly selling of shares. It's not transfer of shares. It's mostly selling of shares. So that also is possible from anybody. An outside India person can do it. A person in India also can do that. Now, in all this process, whoever is transferring shares should submit a form called FCTRS to the AD banker. Now, it has to be done within 60 days of transfer of the instrument or the remittance of fund, whichever is earlier. So now whoever is doing this transaction should file with the RBI. It actually is to the RBI, but they will find they can't directly file it with the RBI. It will go through the AD banker. So whoever's money through the proper banking channel, the documentations will have to go through them within 60 days of transfer of capital. Now, if you don't file it, you will have penalties, you will have fines, and the next time you are getting money into the country or you're transferring shares, the AD banker might not approve it. They might ask you to pay for the previous transactions, and then they will approve this current transactions. Any doubts? Okay, moving ahead. Now, there are some terms and conditions for transfer of shares, debentures by way of sale from a person resident in India to a person resident outside India, and from a person resident outside India to a person resident in India. Now, who are the parties involved? You have a seller. Seller can be a resident or a non-resident. You can be a buyer, resident, non-resident. Agent, the authorized agent of the buyer or the seller. Now, who is an authorized agent is if I'm living abroad and the transaction has to be done with a resident Indian, I can appoint somebody as my agent saying you please take care of the transaction. That is possible. Then you have the authorized dealer bank and you have the Indian company for recording and transfer of ownership in its books. So, when do you all think the Indian company? So basically, buying and selling is between a buyer and a seller, and then you have the authorized dealer that comes in between. So when do you think the Indian company, now if it's my company and two people are doing a transaction, when will the company record? And when do you think the whole transactions will come to the company? Will it even come to change in membership? Change in membership, yes. So after the transaction is done, after the stamp duty has paid by the shareholder, the new shareholder will have to send the documentations. You will learn all this in Companies Act. I'm just letting you all know for information's sake. Whoever is buying the shares will send the transfer form, will send all the documentations like your cancelled check leaf, your transfer form, your stamp duty that you've paid, all your details. All that will have to be sent to the company so that your name is written in the members' books of members, the list of shareholders. Basically, they will have to remove the old shareholder's name and they will have to write your name. So you will have to inform the company. So once the company receives it, they will check all the details, whether you have paid the stamp duty, whether it's been a genuine transfer. After which they will record the transaction, and then they will remove the old shareholder and they'll add the new shareholder. Yes, Anjana. Ma'am, is this only for private company or even a public? No, even a listed company also, if you've done a transaction, if you've done a private placement, so if you've done a stock exchange sale, then you don't have to inform the company because it's an automatic transaction that is done on the stock exchange portal. But a listed company, if say if I'm giving a gift to somebody, and that is not a transaction that will be done on the stock exchange, so the company will not know. So the RTA, the person who takes care of the shares, they will not know because it is a private arrangement that I am doing separately. Say sometimes through a will, or someone wants to gift anybody, or someone's passed away. Now all that the company will not know, and it cannot be done through the stock exchange. So irrespective of whether it is a private company or a public company, you will have to inform the companies if you're getting shares by transfer, by gift, or by a private arrangement, or somebody's passed away. On that, you will have to submit documents to the company anyways. So for each transaction, you have a different set of documents. So if it's somebody's for transmission of shares, that someone's died and you want to transfer the shares, that will have a separate list of documents. If you are getting shares by way of gift, that will have a separate set of documents. So every transaction has got a separate set of documents. Okay. So what happens is if you're doing a transfer of by resident to a non-resident, if you're selling shares from a resident to a non-resident, if it's on a recognized stock exchange, then it will not be less than preferential allotment of shares can be made and should be as per the SEBI guidelines. Now, what is preferential allotment? What is preferential allotment? In short, you will again read this in Companies Act, but in short, for your understanding, a listed company or a private company, if they choose to issue shares to a set of shareholders. Now, out of 100 shareholders, you want to give only 20 shareholders the right to purchase shares. That's called a preferential allotment. Now, in those kind of situation, you cannot give the shares to everybody. So now that pricing should be as per the SEBI guidelines and preceding the relevant date on the date of purchase or sale of shares. So whichever date you have purchased or sale you have done the shares, that will be the price at which you will transfer the shares. Now, if it is not done on a recognized stock exchange, as said earlier, it will be by a SEBI registered merchant banker valuation or a chartered accountant. Again, what happens is, say if it's a private company, on that, usually the shareholders will not get it done themselves. They will contact the company and they will say, see, I'm planning to sell shares. Can you please give me a valuation? So the company itself will give them the valuation because the company does valuation of shares on a yearly basis. Now, transfer of non-resident to resident share, it will again be not more than the minimum price in which the transfer of shares can be made from a resident to a non-resident. Same as above. If it's a listed company, as per the SEBI guidelines. If it's a non-listed company, as per the merchant banker guidelines or the chartered accountant. Any doubts? Can we move ahead?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So next is now method of payment and remittance, credit or sale proceeds. Now, how will you get money once you sell shares? Once you transfer the shares, how will you receive the money? Now, shares purchased by a person resident outside India shall be remitted to India through a normal banking channels. So now, again, normal banking channels is nothing but through the authorized dealer. Now, in case if the buyer is an FPI, foreign person investor, just 1 second. It will be made to a special non-resident rupee account. If the buyer is an NRI, it will be debited to his NRE account. And if the shares are acquired on non-repaid basis, the NRO account. So as I told you earlier, NRO account is for non-repatriation of shares, and NRE account is how the money can come into India. And if it's a repatriate, it will be non-NRE, and if it's a non-repatriate, it will be an NRO account. Now, the sale proceeds of shares sold by a person resident outside India may be remitted outside India. Now, if somebody wants to, if two people outside India, they can exchange they can send the money to each other. May be credited to the foreign currency account, and then I shares again it's the same thing as the above. Now, the sale proceeds of shares sold by an overseas corporate body may be remitted outside India directly if the shares were held on repatriation basis. Now, if it is held by a corporate body, if it's a foreign corporate body, the amount will be sent directly to the foreign bank account, and because that is repatriation basis. And if the shares investment was made in non-repat basis, the money will not go outside India. It will be in India in the NRO account. Yes, Anjana. What FPI now? FPI is foreign portfolio investment. Okay. Okay. Now, documentation wise, FCTRS, whoever is buying and selling, the buyer will have to file an FCTRS in quadruplet, that's in 4. Now you will have to submit it to the AD branch bank, and the AD branch will be responsible for the documentations. Now, what documentations for sale of shares by a person resident in India? Now, I'm in India and I'm selling, the shares to a person outside India. Consent letter by the buyer and the seller. The details of number of shares will have to be mentioned. Again, if I'm appointing an agent, I will have to submit the power of attorney document also. Now, the shareholding pattern, usually shareholding pattern, you will have to get in touch with the company and ask for the shareholding pattern. Certificate indicating fair value of shares from a chartered accountant, that also you will have to submit. A copy of the broker's note, if sale is made on the stock exchange, you will have to submit that also. Undertaking from the buyer that he is eligible to acquire shares, and undertaking that the individual ceiling limit as prescribed by SEBI has not been breached. Now, these 7 documents have to be submitted if for sale of shares by a person resident in India to a person resident outside India. Now, what happens if a person resident outside India wants to sell shares? Again, consent letter will be required. If you're appointing an agent, consent letter for the agent also is required. RBI approvals is required, and proof that the sale proceeds are credited to the NRO NRE account. Fair valuation of shares by a chartered accountant, no objection clearance certificate from the income tax department, and an undertaking from the buyer that they have followed the pricing guidelines. Now, all this will have to be given if a person outside India is selling the shares. Any doubts? Can we move ahead?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, there are some reporting requirements that is required. I already spoke to you about FCTRS that is required within 60 days. You will also have the reporting again. If it is a non-repat account, if you want to transfer the shares to your account, you will have to submit documentations. Now, they have not mentioned what documentations, but they only say documentations if you are doing it to a non-repat basis. So, if I am a shareholder, foreign shareholder, if the money is coming into my NRO account, and if it is a non-repat, if I want to take the money out of the country, I will have to send a set of documents to the banker to get the money. Now, the AD banker would forward to link office. The link office will consolidate the forms and submit a monthly report to Reserve Bank. So basically, reporting is what the authorized bank also does it. Authorized dealers may designate branches to specifically handle such transactions. Now, not all bank branches will do foreign transactions like this. There will be only specific bank branches that will do it. Now, if I'm giving a bank example of HDFC branch, not all HDFC branch will do foreign transactions. Now, you can't go to your closest branch, say near your house, and you can't say I want to transfer shares to somebody in Vienna or they will not accept it. So you will have to go to the designated branches only who are allowed to do such transactions. Now, again, FCTRS, how the AD bank will submit 2 copies to their department, will send one set to the RBI. All that is mentioned in the reporting requirement. Okay, now documents to be submitted by a person resident in India for transfer of shares to a person resident outside India by way of gift. Now, what happens? Just 1 second, please. Okay. Okay. Now, what happens if one person resident in India to a person resident outside India wants to give shares as a gift? Now, then you will have to. So usually, in general terms, how do you all think gift would work? You can't just pack up shares in say a gift box and hand it over to a person. So how do you think in general terminologies, how would a gift work? Now this we are only going to look at the documentations, but how do you think a general gifting of shares would work? What do you think are required when you are having when you are giving one person to another person if you are giving shares by way of gift?
Transfer letter.
Gift deed, transfer letter? No. A gift deed will be signed. Yes, yes. So a gift deed will be signed. Now, what happens if you do not have a gift deed? Say if the person has passed away, and if you still want to transfer shares from the person who is dead to the person who is alive, then what happens? Then gift deed will not be possible, right? Then what? Nomination, okay, but sometimes what happens is the name that they have given in the company's nominee letter, that is just a letter. They might change it also at the time of death. So when they're writing a will, when the person who is dying has written a will, whatever amount, whoever's name is mentioned in the will, that person's, you will have to transfer the shares to that person only. And if the will is not there, you will have a succession certificate also. So now the person has not kept any will, and the shares, the nominees also say. Many of them will come and tell me we don't want the person who is nominated being given the shares, or they change. So if there's a will, they follow the will. If there's no will, then they will go by the nomination of shares that they have submitted to the company. At the time where there's no nominee of shares being registered also, then they will have a succession certificate. So it will go to whoever's names are mentioned by the court, it will go to all of them. Now, way of gift, as everybody said, a gift deed is required, and if a person passes away, then it will be by way of will or a succession certificate. If none is there, whoever's name is being nominated in the as a nominee. Now, what in the way of gift, name and address of the transferor, donor, and the donee will have to be mentioned. Relationship between the transferor and the transferee. Then, yes, Malini. Sorry, ma'am. As of now, the succession certificates are not issued to everybody except for the government employees. So what happens in that case? So is that an automatic transmission? No, no succession certificate is issued by the court. It is issued only to government employees. I don't think so. I don't think so because recently we had a case where the person passed away 2 years back and they hadn't contacted the company until last year and we had required a succession certificate. They didn't have a will. We had required a succession certificate and they actually went to the court and they got a registered succession certificate for us. Okay, that is about providing on the family tree and all that. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so that's issued by the court. Okay, ma'am. Yeah, and then the reasons for making the gift. You will have to mention the reason that you for you that you made the gift. And in case of government, dated securities or treasury bills and bonds, a certified issue by a chartered accountant on the market value of such security will also have to be submitted. Now, in case of domestic mutual funds, money market mutual funds, a certificate from the issuer on the net asset value also will have to be submitted. In case of shares and convertible debentures, a certificate from a chartered accountant on the value of such securities according to the government, according to the guidelines of SEBI has been followed, will have to also be submitted. Now, all this is required if you are selling, if you are giving a gift to a person who is outside India. So, if you are giving a gift to a person in India, you will not have to face any complications. You can just write a gift deed and you can give it. But if it is a person, if you are giving from a person in India to a person outside India, then you will have to submit all this to your AD bank. Again, you will also have to give an undertaking that you have not transferred any other securities exceeding 50,000 USD, a declaration from the donee accepting partially paid up shares, or warrants that the donee is aware of the liability. Now, if the shares are partly paid up, say out of 10 rupees, the company has only called for 6 rupees, and there's 4 rupees more remaining, and uh, and you have given the gift. Now, the person who's accepting the shares, accepting the gift, will have to give a declaration saying that I know I have to pay 4 rupees and I will pay 4 rupees. So he will also have to give a declaration saying that I'm aware of the liability. Now, all these documentations have to be provided to the AD banker. The AD banker will check all this, and that's when your transactions will be processed. Any doubts? We go ahead. Okay. So next, rights issue or bonus issue of shares. Now, what happens if it's a rights? Okay, what is rights issue? Anybody?
Issuing shares to the existing shareholder.
Issue of shares to the existing shareholders, yes. Do they specifically give to some shareholders or they give it to everybody for the rights issue and bonus issue?
To everybody.
To everybody, yes. So a rights issue or a bonus issue is given to everybody. So a rights issue is something that the company tells that we are issuing 100 rupees shares to everybody. The price is 100 rupees. So if you are interested, they will usually have a rights ratio. One second. Do you want me to explain it in detail or I'll just give you an explanation and then we can go ahead? What is rights issue, bonus issue? Yeah. Explain please, ma'am. Okay, let me quickly open the word file. Okay, Okay, so in a rights issue, say company A has for a private company has 10 shareholders and they want to issue shares 1:1 ratio. First you want to make it? I think some. Yeah, I able to hear you now. No. Yeah, now I got back the network. Now can you hear me? Yes, no. Yes, no. Okay. Yeah, there was some network issue in between. Okay, so now I am not writing all the 10 shareholders. I am written only 1 and 2, and you'll have 3, 4, 5. Now they want to issue shares in 1:1 ratio. Now a rights issue, they will give letters. They will issue letters called offer letter. They will issue offer letters to all the shareholders. They will issue letters to all the 10 shareholders saying that we are issuing shares at a 1:1 ratio and price is rupees 10. Price is rupees 10. If you are interested, please revert back to the company by accepting the shares. So what happened is Mr. A has already got 20 shares. If it's 1:1 ratio, he can apply for 20 more shares. So he will get 10, 20 more shares and he will tell, okay, I am interested to pay 20 shares. He will give a letter of acceptance to the company saying, I will buy the shares. Now Mr. B will tell, I do not want to buy the shares. So he will give a letter of rejection saying, I do not want to buy the shares. Now there is another third scenario also. Mr. C has got 10 shares. Mr. C will tell, I do not want to buy the shares, but my portion of shares you can give it to Mr. A. So he will renounce his rights to purchase in the rights issue and he'll tell, you can give my shares to Mr. B. If Mr. B is interested, he can purchase my shares. Now that scenario is also possible. So you either accept the shares, so you give an acceptance letter. If you reject, you give a rejection letter. Or if you want to renounce the shares to someone else, you can also do that. So Mr. A will pay 10 rupees for his 20 shares and give the letter to the company A. So this is called rights issue. So everybody will have a right and it's up to them if they want to buy the shares or not. This is rights issue. In a bonus issue, again, 1:1 ratio, the shareholder does not have to pay anything. 20 shares, if it's a 1:1, again, there's an offer letter which has been issued. And Mr. A will get 20 shares plus 20 shares. Mr. B will get 10 shares plus 10 shares. Mr. C will get 10 shares plus 10 shares. So everybody will get 1:1 ratio of shares. That is a bonus shares. Rights issue, you will have to pay. Bonus issue, you do not have to pay. Any questions? Any doubts? Rights issue, bonus issue? Okay, let me go ahead with the presentation. So that's what is a rights issue and a bonus issue. Now remittance reporting in violation, now whatever sale proceeds of shares, securities and their remittance is remittance of assets and is governed by the FEMA Remittance of Assets Regulations 2000. Now, the AD banker is responsible for any sale proceeds, to the seller via repatriation basis. All of that is subject to the clearance of the AD banker. Now, sometimes you need an NOC also from the income tax department. It will be the responsibility of the buyer or seller to receive that particular NOC as well. Now, what happens if you're winding up a company? You will need a no objection certificate, an auditor certificate confirming that all liabilities in India have been fully paid. Now, this is a case where a company in India has been wound up, is in the process of winding up, and the money has to go outside the country. Now, auditor certificate, you need an auditor certificate also for, as per the Companies Act, you need the winding up usually is done by court. So you will also have to submit an auditor certificate saying that there is no pending litigation also, and everything has been cleared for winding up of company. Now the detail of winding up of the company you will study in Companies Act. So we are not going into details. Now repatriation of dividend. Repatriation of dividend, nothing but you can get the money outside India. Say if you earn any dividend in India, you can easily transfer the money outside India. Now, if it is a non-repatriated account, and if you are a non-repatriable shareholder, then you will have to submit documentations to get your money outside, to be repatriated outside India. Now, repatriation of interest also, say if you've taken a loan, if somebody's taken a loan, if I have taken a loan from somebody outside India, then I will pay interest every month. So that also, without any restrictions, can be remitted outside India. Now, FDI reporting has to be done on the single master form. So basically, any FDI, any foreign direct investment that is done by the company, you will have to submit an SMF form, that's single master form, and it is available on the firm's platform. Now, firm's platform is an RBI website where you will have to go and submit your documentation, single master form. For knowledge sake, do you want to see how a single master form looks, or we can skip the RBI website part? If you want to see how the single master form is, I will show it to you. If some people feel that no, it's not required, I will not show it to you. Okay, just hold on 1 minute. Let me open the website and I will show you. Have you heard about Krispy Kreme? Yes, ma'am. Okay. So Krispy Kreme is a company. So the company's name is called Citymax Hotels, and Krispy Kreme is a brand name for Citymax Hotels. So we do have RBI requirements for Citymax Hotels. So if you look up at what do you say? If you look up at Citymax Hotels on MCA portal, you will find it out. You will know. 1 second. Ma'am, is this form's website and SMF form accessible to all? No, the SMF form, you will only just give me a minute. I'll 1 second. I'm just putting the password, username and password. Yeah. Okay. You will have to let me know once you see the website. Can you see the website? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so this is a company-oriented platform where the company will get a username and password. You will have to go to the company's thing. If you want to see what is the documentations required, there you can always Google up as an SMF guidelines. There are specific guidelines where the SMF platform where you can go and you can check what documents are there. But it is only specific to companies. So there is a single master form here. We spoke about FCTRS, correct? So this is the FCTRS form. There is FCGPR filing. So if you issue shares to a foreign person, if you issue bonus issue or rights issues to a foreign company, if you have any FDI filing, you will have the FCGPR filing. We will see what is an LLP1, LLP2. There is ESOP, there is CNDRRDI. So for all this, you will have to file the single master form. So I'll show you what is an FCGPR. Say I want to file a form. So the company SIN number is there, the PAN number is there, name of the company is there, application date is there. Then an entry route is there, whether it's automatic or government. If it's automatic, you will have to just write automatic and how much percentage of automatic. Government, if you select government approval has to be attached. Whether it is for, if you are receiving foreign investment for a specific project, yes, no. If it is just for general, you just have to put no. Date of issue, nature of issue, preferential allotment rights, bonus, demerger. All of these options are available. Then you have the foreign investor details, how many investors, whether it is 1, 2, you'll have to mention that. You'll have to mention all the details of the investors like the name, addresses, town, all of that. Particulars issue, type of capital instruments, whether it is equity shares, debentures, is remittance from abroad through banking channel, NRE. If anybody has got a query, I will not be able to see all. So you can ask your question after I finish this, or you can stop me in between. Or the money has come from an NRE account or from an escrow account, swap, others, multiple modes of payment if you have more than one mode of payment. Then AD Bank, you keep hearing the name AD Bank, you'll have to mention the AD Bank name, address, PIN code, all of that. In investment details, how much money you have invested. Now, how much money is nothing but the total money you invested. This is the same thing. This is nothing. You will also have to submit a valuation certificate. Fair value of shares valuation certificate has to be attached, and you will also have to give a declaration. And you will also have to give certain documentations certified by the company secretary, practice by a PCS certificate section of it. There is the next topic is the foreign exchange management, mode of payment and reporting of non-debt instruments regulations 2019. Now this particular, one second. Now this particular regulations is nothing but on how what are the accepted modes of payment and what reporting has to be done. Now we have looked at how the payment has to be made. All of that we have seen. And under FDI itself, so under this particular section is also a repeated repetition of points on how mode of payment is accepted and what reporting has to be done. So there are some, again, FCGPR is what I showed you all on the SMF portal. Now, who files an FCGPR is an Indian company issuing equity instruments to a person resident outside India shall report within 30 days. So, if you don't report, so what I showed you was an FCGPR filing on what you have to do for an FCGPR filing. Now, what happens if you do not report within 30 days? So, what happens if Schemax Portals does not report any foreign investment within 30 days? There will be a penalty. RBI will not approve your foreign investment next time. Meaning, if the money comes in now, the money has already come in and the AD has already approved it. So if I don't file my FCGPR filing and RBI doesn't approve it, then the next time the money comes in, AD bank will reject the amount. So the amount will go back to the investor. It will not come into India. It will not come into my bank account if I have not filed the FCGPR. The company should also file an annual return on foreign liabilities and assets on a yearly basis. So now this has to be filed by July 15th of every year. This particular filing, you will have to given details of all the foreign direct investment you have received in the previous year, and the current year. You will have to give both the calculations. You will have to give details of how much foreign investment has come in, what is your balance sheet value, what are your profit loss, shareholding pattern, all the details will have to be given for the annual return. And it has to be filed by the company on a yearly basis. FCTRS we've seen, if the company has issued ESOPs, you will also have to file a form ESOP. Do you know what is ESOPs? What is ESOP? What is the full form of ESOP? Employee stock option. Yes, but what is employee stock option? So the number of shares are offered to employees for a lock-in period. So do you purchase it at the beginning or you purchase it at the end? At the end, I have an option. I can either buy it or I can price is fixed to the beginning. Yeah. Yes. So an ESOP is nothing but you join a company and the company will tell you that you have been given 100 shares of ESOP at a market price of 100 rupees. 100 shares at 100 rupees. Okay, for easy thing, 100 shares at 10 rupees each. And then, but it is for, you will, so they grant. So when you join a company, they grant the shares for you. And every year, 25% of it will get vested. So first year, 25% of the shares, you have an option if you want to buy it, or if you do not want to buy it, it will keep accumulating. So second term also, second year also, it is from 25, it will become 50%. You have an option to buy 50% shares. Now every year is a lock-in period of 4 years. If you do not buy the shares within 4 years, automatically it becomes cancelled. So whatever has been issued to you will become cancelled. So you will buy, so basically it is after 1 year you will buy at a price of 10 rupees each. So you will apply to the company saying you are interested to buy the shares and keep their employees into the company for a long period of time, they kind of give employee stock option plan to the companies. Yes. Why exactly is ESOPs always a part of your annual CTC? It's like in your pay slip. Is the company paying for it at that particular time, or how is? No, the company is not paying for it. So I'll tell you what. Not all companies will issue ESOPs. So it is a type of say incentivize the employee, saying that, see, I am giving you shares. And if it's a private company, it is like, okay, I'm making you a part of the company. You will become a shareholder of a company. It is sometimes what companies do is they try to what do you say, instead of giving a salary, they kind of tell you that, see, we are giving you shares, which, I mean, it's like a way of what do you say? So usually when you give a CTC, you will have to give in rupees, and if you give in shares, it is only affecting the company as a whole. You become a shareholder, so the employee also feels like, okay, you are contributing for the success of the company. The company does well, you will get dividend. It's a way. It's a way the HR kind of feels that they can reduce giving monetization by giving ESOPs. So you can't encash it or anything after a period of 4 years. See, there are two types of it. There is something called restricted stock options, where you do not have to pay any amount. At the end of 4 years, when it's vested, you just buy the shares and you can sell it immediately. That's called RSUs. ESOPs. So RSUs is, so nowadays what happens is Indian employees are getting RSUs from foreign companies. For example, if I'm working in VMware in Bangalore, I get VMware RSUs, which is listed on the US stock exchange. And I'm not paying anything. It's not going out of my salary. But when it's vested, I can sell it. So I can sell it at the market price of what is running currently. So if I've got 25% of vesting now, I can sell it at the current market price. I'm not paying anything. That's a different benefit. ESOP, you will have to pay from your pocket. Until you pay it, the company is not going to give you ESOP shares. Okay, alright, okay. So an RSU is an added benefit to your CTC. It's something extra, which is more beneficial. But an ESOP, it's like you will have to pay in. So it's your option of whether you want to pay money and buy the shares or not. Now, say Flipkart or which was okay. Flipkart is a good example, or even Infosys for that matter. Flipkart in the beginning was a private company, so they gave most of their top. So ESOP is given mostly to the top management people to kind of make them part of the management. And Flipkart employees, they kind of Flipkart or even Infosys, when Infosys was a private company, they kind of gave them to most of the employees. They kind of gave as a private company. So when you buy shares as a private company, at that point of time, you do not know the importance. But when Infosys or when Flipkart got listed on the stock exchange in an IPO, the current holding of the shares market value is completely different. So a lot of people from Infosys became billionaires, became millionaires because they were holding Infosys shares, and Infosys shares went up very well when it came into an IPO. So if you're in a company, if you're in a private company and you get shares, and in future it's listed and you still hold shares, it's kind of a beneficial thing for you. So you will have to see whether it is really beneficial for you to buy a private company shares. Listed company shares, very rare they give it to all the employees. They would not give it to all employees. ESOPs. So basically, you still have to, after 4 years, after your vesting period, you still have to take out money from your own pocket. The company will not be paying it on behalf of you. No, no, you will have to pay it at a previous determined price. So you will get it at a much discounted rate of what is going on in the as per the current market value. Okay, okay, ma'am. Thank you. So that's ESOP shares. Ma'am, so the RSUs have no lock-in period? Is that RSUs also have a lock-in period. So they have a lock-in period of again 4 years. It's credited to your account. Okay, okay. And then you have the depository receipt return form, which if you have a DRR, you will also have to submit it within 30 days. Now you saw other forms like LLP, LLP1, LLP2, all of that. All that is applicable for wherever applicable. All that is applicable. There are some forms in the textbook as well, so you can go through that. And yes, we are done with FDI. We finished the chapter of FDI. Any queries? Now I had a question, not relating to this, but ESOP. ESOP and sweat equity shares, what is the difference? See, sweat equity shares, one second, let me give you, it's completely different. It's completely different. One second. Okay, so usually sweat equity shares are issued to the employees for their hard work. Now, ESOP, you have a vesting period, you have you have to buy it, all of that. And sweat equity is just you are giving shares because they have done a lot of hard work. You tell them that you can take 10 shares from the company. You are not paying anything. The employee is not paying anything, but the ESOP you are paying. That's the major difference. So sweat equity is something that the company is voluntarily offering it to number of shares. They are giving you shares. But ESOP is not shares until you buy it. It's their optional plans. And until you buy it, it does not get converted into shares. You are still not as a member of the company. Okay, ma'am. Anyone has got any doubts for in FDI?